All right, we got Monday Night Football results. The Minnesota Vikings beat the Bears 19-13 on Monday night on ESPN. Um, Mario, I'll let you take the floor on this one, but I just want to say something real quick. Have yourself a house party, man. Kirk Cousins finally won his first Monday Night Football game. You go crazy. Go. Let me give him a cookie real quick. I'm that pride. I'll give him a cookie. Yo, you guys throw yourselves a house party.
Yeah, I mean, all right, look. Let me explain something to you. It's some good and there was some bad in this game, okay? I'm gonna say this though. This is very rare for me to say. Kirk Cousins played good. He played. I have no complaints about Kirk Cousins. I don't. Because here's the thing, he threw one pick. All right, that could be the one thing that I can put against. Like, but it's not really against him because it went right to Adam Thielen, and it went right to Adam Thielen's hands. Adam Thielen had some trouble this game. Adam Thielen, he had one go through his hand, and it went right into Khalil Mack's hands for a pick. And then there was another one where it went through his hands again, and he almost got picked off again. So, like, Adam Thielen was a little off that game, but then he made it up with the two touchdowns that he had. But let me explain something to you. The biggest winner on the Minnesota Vikings was Justin Jefferson. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because Dalvin Cook was getting stopped this whole game until probably the third or fourth quarter. This dude was getting stopped he had 30 rushes for 97 yards. You might say that's good, right? And it is good. Don't get me wrong, or 96 yards, I believe it was. Yeah, 96 yards. And you might think that's good. And don't get me wrong, it is. It's decent, but it's not Dalvin Cook. And not only that, if you look at the first like 2, 3 quarters of the game, he was getting stuffed, you know? And it looked like the Bears found out how to deal with him. And mostly he was getting stuffed by Akeem Hicks. And then when Akeem Hicks left, he got hurt in the game, which, like, even though they're division rivals, hopefully it's not that big of a deal for him. Hopefully it's not that big of an issue, and hopefully he can come back. But when he got hurt and he left the game, Dalvin Cook started rushing a lot better. And that just shows you, like, Akeem Hicks, how important he is to that run defense. But yeah, when Dalvin Cook had a slow day, Justin Jefferson did not. Justin Jefferson had 8 catches, 136 yards. He didn't have a touchdown, but those 136 yards was what drove us down the field. And the two touchdowns that Adam Thielen had, those were big too. Good job for him to getting open in the end zone. Um, Honestly, it was a decent day for everybody. Nobody really, like, besides Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, nobody really kind of stood out. Nobody stood out to me. You know,
Yeah, I
like
agree. That's what you're saying.
I'll go to the defense real quick. So the defense, Harrison Smith had an interception. Eric Wilson had 7 tackles, a sack, and 2 tackles for loss. If there's anybody on the defense on that picked it up and that deserves to be mentioned, it's Eric Wilson. I think Eric Wilson was the best defender of that game for the Vikings. Jeff Gladney, the corner, he had 2 tackles for loss. DJ Wanham had a late sack, which helped us to a win. Now going to the Bears. So here's the problem I have. The Bears just didn't play good. Like Nick Foles went 50 for 26, 106 yards and 1 interception. We the Bears need a lot more out of Nick Foles in order for them to win that game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cordero Patterson. Now there's some ups and downs with him. If you want to talk about the running game, Cordero Patterson had 12 rushes, 30 yards, no touchdowns. First of all, I said it before, and I'm gonna continue saying it. The Bears have the worst rushing team. Has the worst rushing in the league, hands down. You know what I'm saying? Worst. Um, but then Cordero Patterson has an 104-yard return for a touchdown. Let me explain something to you. I was annoyed by that because this guy was on my team for a good 4 or 5 years. I know how good of a kick returner he was. He made the Pro Bowl like 3 times as a kick returner. Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. He's tied, I think, the record for most career kick returns for a touchdown with 8. So he might, when he goes down, when he ends up retiring, he probably will go down as one of the best kick returners in the game. Not lying to you. Not like he's not above Devin Hester or like maybe Dion in my opinion, but I think he's definitely top 3 or top 5. Cordero Patterson without a doubt. So when he did that, I was getting like deja vu moments because he used to do that for the Vikings. He did that a lot for us with those kick return touchdowns. But when it came to running, and Bears are having trouble with running back, so they put him in as a running back. It's not working, man. The Bears are in desperate need of a running back. Now
Right.
going to now Allen. Now the receiving, obviously, because Nick Foles only had 106 yards, the receiving wasn't that good. But I'll name them anyway. So Allen Robinson had 6 receptions, 43 yards. Honestly, it's not eye popping. Anthony Miller had 2 receptions, 28 yards. Ryan Nall had 1 reception for 18 yards. Like that's about it. Then you go to the other side of special teams. Dwayne Harris, their punt returner, had one fumble, and Josh Metellus on the Vikings ended up recovering it, so the Vikings could be placed in a good field position. Um, that's what happened basically on special teams. Both kickers went 100%, so there's really nothing really I could say about the kickers. Now going to the Bears defense. This Bears defense is scary, dude. Like I'm not like as a Vikings fan, that's the only team I'm concerned. That's the only defense that I'm scared of. Probably is the Bears defense. Let me explain something to you. Every single time the Vikings have caught a ball, wrap them right, and they would just punch that ball. This is probably the most aggressive defense we're ever going to see in the NFL, especially with these new rules coming in that to protect the quarterback and to protect players. This is going to be the most aggressive defense you're probably going to see.
I
I'm
fully
being
agree. Yeah,
between them and the Steelers, but I think they're a lot more. I think they're a more aggressive team than the Steelers. Defense in the Steelers. I'm not saying they're a better defense than the Steelers. I'm
they're
saying
more
they're more.
aggressive. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So we'll go to the defense. Khalil Mack had one interception. That's the one that went through Adam Thielen's hands, and he picked it off at 33 yards until Kirk Cousins decided to show some effort. Look at that. Kirk Cousins, man. Okay, I can't complain, man. He
Give him
went
that
up, he
cookie.
ran up to Khalil Mack, put his shoulder in Khalil Mack, got him out of bounds, but then like Kirk Cousins obviously didn't got the brunt of that hit because it's Khalil Mack. But you know what? A for effort for Kirk Cousins.
Give him that damn cookie.
Here's this guy right here probably would have been defensive player of the week if they would have won. Roquan Smith, the linebacker for the Chicago Bears. He went to the University of Georgia. I'm very familiar with him. He had 14 total tackles, 1 sack, and 3 tackles for loss. That's a good defensive performance right there. And this is what I'm talking about with the Bears defense. They're that good. And that's why it's so hard for the Vikings to win in Chicago, let alone against this team. Danny Trevathan, their other linebacker, he had 8 tackles. Eddie Jackson had 7, the cornerback, and he's a very good cornerback as well. Like, I mean, I have a lot of respect for that backfield in Chicago. And Jalen Johnson had 5 tackles as well. That's a very productive young rookie corner for the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears might have the best cornerbacks in the league, in my opinion. Best cornerback core in the league. Like, just all around. Like, it's hard to go up against that team,
I agree.
that defense. But offense, on the other hand, is now productive, and that's just as simple as that. And because of this offense, they've really been struggling. The Bears have lost their last straight 4. Vikings have won their last 3 straight games against division rivals. All 3 of them were rivals, so that now they got a 3-1 record in the division. So that's really going to probably propel them. But honestly, like I'll just name Kirk Cousins' stats because I really didn't name him. He went 25 for 36, 292 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. That wasn't his fault. So I gotta give a lot of credit to Kirk Cousins. You know what I'm saying? Like he played a good game. The star on the offense is Justin Jefferson. And as for the Vikings defensive star in that is Eric Wilson. And for the Bears, besides like the defense, nobody on that Bears offense really stepped up. And that was a key to why they lost. Your opinions?
I agree with you 100%. I was watching that game. It was more of a defensive game, if anything, than what I've seen so far last week. That something similar that I seen with the Texans and the Browns. How that game only went the most points score was 10. That's that ended in 10-7 final. And same thing with here. Same thing here. Wasn't a very high scoring game. 19-13 isn't that high of a score. Then in comparison to something like 46-23. So I mean, I think it was a very defensive game. It really just came down to who had the better offense, and the Vikings had the better offense. And
Right.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the Bears are in they're in some deep trouble right now. I'm telling you that right now. You started the season off 5-0. You lost your last 5 games. That is a problem.
Yeah, they started at
That
five
is a
and
huge
one, but
problem.
like
It all starts it all starts with that rushing. It all starts with that rushing game. That rushing game is absolutely terrible, and it showed last game. Their offensively, they're still having issues with their quarterback. Nick Foles is injured. We'll talk about that next clip. But he's probably going to end up what's his they want him to play after the bye week, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference either. The Bears are just struggling offensively. I think that's what's really holding them back. And to be honest, when they went 5-0, I was really surprised that they even went 5-0. You know what I mean? Just they were very, very sloppy on offense. They weren't.
right before you continue, they went 5 and 1.
Oh, they went five
They
and
go
one.
five.
My bad. 5-1 last 4 games. My bad.
Yeah, still I know what you're saying. Still is bad.
Yeah, yeah,
But
and
the thing is with the Bears, I'll let you continue.
yeah,
Go.
and I've always been one to say, in football, every game counts. You play 16 games a year, which is very true. But like, at the same time, when they went 5-1, they weren't playing very tough opponents. Giants are one of them. They barely beat the Buccaneers. Um, they did beat the Panthers. That was one of their tougher opponents. With alongside the Bucks. They beat them by a touchdown score. So I mean, really, with the primary problem with the Bears is their offense, more specifically their quarterback situation and their rushing games. That rushing game is just terrible, and the quarterback situation is just not any better, in my opinion.
Right. And the one thing with the Bears though is like the wins that they had, they were all like a lot of them. I think all of them maybe were one score wins. And so like same thing with the Vikings. Like besides the Lions, they really haven't had like a win where you could say, oh, they're starting to step up, which is why I can't call the Vikings a contender yet because they're
Yeah,
just not. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, they're gonna have to prove it because the games that are key is the games in the NFC, obviously. You got to play the Bears again, the Buccaneers, and the Saints. And so those are the games that are going to really determine where the Vikings stand. But the other thing is, it's a shame though because that Bears defense is so good.
Oh,
It is
deadly.
that offense is just not. It's just not doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But hey, before we get off this topic, I just want to say congrats to Kirk Cousins on winning his first Monday Night Football game.
I'm letting
You
you know
know,
right now, man, that damn cookie's coming your way. You better throw that house party with him and Kirk Cousins like he was on that sideline. He was going, let's go, man, let's go. He was going
yeah,
crazy
he
on
was all
that
pumped.
sideline.
He was all pumped up, but this dude was all pumped up like with 2 minutes left, and then he's like, and then first of all, Kirk Cousins is the most dad dude. I describe him as a dad. This guy acts like a dad every single time I see this man. Right? He acts like a dad, and he is a dad, but he acts like one. Right? He went from a dad to being a 21st century millennial within like a span of 10 seconds. This dude dabbed up the offensive line. I have never seen Kirk Cousins give a high five in my life. But hey, look, I mean, he's excited and everything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was a little annoyed because I'm a big superstitious guy, and I believe like like if you celebrate too early, it might.
Something, yeah,
That's
yeah,
why I
that'll
was a little
backfire.
annoyed. I was a little annoyed, but you know what? Like, I gotta give him a little bit of slack. You know what I'm saying? He's never won a Monday Night Football game. He was 0 for 9 before this, and he finally won a Monday Night Football game.
Yeah.
So congrats to him. And I also found out that the Vikings have not beat the Bears away since Week 5 of 2017. So with that being said, congrats to the Vikings on getting that win because it's been a long time coming. And honestly, they're on a big wave, but they're gonna have to continue riding that wave. They're going to have to prove that they are this elite of a team against other elite teams such as the Bucks, such as the Saints, such as the Bears again. And
Right.
it's all time will tell. But I think the Vikings are. I'm not saying nothing yet. I was gonna say they're heading in a good direction, but time will tell.
Yeah,
As
of
for the
course.
Bears, they gotta figure out this offense quick.
Absolutely. I agree. Congrats to the Vikings on winning this game.
Let's go, baby.